Hey, what's going on? A pluses, nerve mixes. Now, I know I said I was only going to cover like pay-per-views and everything when it came to wrestling and events, but AEW's Grand Slam taking place at Usher, what the stadium where they play, you know what I'm saying, the US Open at. I always for mess up that name, when it comes down to it. Arthur Ashe Stadium. Uh where they had a record crowd of over 18,000 in attendance. This was the first time ever that this stadium has hosted, this style of event, has never had a wrestling event. So this was a big deal. Um, it was the biggest AEW show in history. You had Jim Ross announcing. The attendance said that it maxed at like 20,177. It's a 2 night event. They recorded a 2 hour rampage right after this happened, but I of course covered that Friday because I don't want to do any spoilers. And it was headlined by Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson. The big match on Who's Better. Non-title match, but come to find out, it was actually the first match on the card. It opened and they actually did what they should have did, and they let the AEW Women's Championship headline and be the main event of night one, with Ruby Soho challenging Dr. Brent Baker, D.M.D, for the championship. Coming into this match, you realize how over Bryan actually is. Because he comes out to the crowd roaring. But in like sight, the crowd actually likes Kenny Omega as well. And it's something about the contrast of Bryan's music and Kenny's music that's amazing. Because Kenny's music is just beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Beyond regard. So we're getting the best bout machine against the American Dragon. It was a very, very good match. 30-minute time limit. And as soon as they announced the time limit, I really felt like it was going to be a draw, which it ended up being a draw, but a very, very good match. They had a bunch of top, you know what I'm saying, highlights in it. Even Bryan Danielson bringing back the cattle mutilation. I think that's what it's called. That he used to use. This crazy submission move. It kind of puts their face in the opponent's face in the mat so he can't see what's going on, while like putting his rotator cuffs in his arms in an awkward position. Lots of yes kicks, lots of chops. Daniel Bryan's chest was just Bryan Danielson. That's gonna take some use getting to. Bryan Danielson's chest was just lit up red. It was crazy. Omega with the running V trigger from at the top of the ramp and coming and just landing on his beauty. The V trigger, the kicks, the V trigger, the kicks, them going move for move, hold for hold. The reverse hurricanrana out of, you know what I'm saying, the one winged angel. Uh the fans seeming to be caught off guard because they didn't hear Justin Roberts' 1 minute warning because of how loud the crowd was and how into the match they were. It was an excellent, excellent match. The crowd booed the finish, which I think that was by design. I think they wanted the crowd to be upset about that because it sets up something in the future. I don't believe it Full Gear because I don't think you get Bryan Danielson getting a shot at the title until he's ranked. I really feel like Full Gear is going to be Hangman's return. And I really feel like Hangman is going to be the one to take the belt off of Kenny Omega. So maybe down the line, you can get another Kenny. Maybe Kenny's more worried about that and they get that. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. But that ended in a time limit draw. You get CM Punk, which this was smart. Put CM Punk in between the next match because the fans were so into the first match. And if you put another match after that, you got to follow that. How do you follow that? Because even CM Punk came out and before he started, he was like, how do you follow that? Fans singing along with the theme music. Uh, CM Punk's response to why he's happy to be here. We know y'all want upset Punk. That may be coming in the future, but it's hard for me to be upset when my music hits and I hear that crowd and what's going on. So let's enjoy this honeymoon while it lasts. He runs down Team Taz and what is his name? The big muscly black guy, Hobbs. Hobbs. and tells Hobbs, you know what I'm saying, you're gonna go to sleep. After that, you get MJF versus Bryan Pillman Jr., which was set up from before. Um, MJF ends up winning this match using a bunch of heel tactics. He's using a lot of old school heel tactics, which I honestly am a fan of. Julia Hart came down to looking amazing. Bryan Pillman Jr. put on an amazing match, but he's going for his springboard top rope move and ends up getting put in the salt of the earth and loses. So that was it was a very decent match. And following the Bryan Danielson Kenny Omega match, it was actually a really good match to follow that. Then you get Malakai Black versus Cody Rhodes. Now, when Malakai Black came out, he was actually getting cheered. Cody Rhodes was definitely the heel because the fans were not behind him at all. But Cody has amazing music as well. Malakai Black's interest is bar none. I love how they shut the lights off and then bring him back on, and he's, you know what I'm saying, in another spot. Real eerie, and the presentation in person has to be amazing, right? Cody did a lot of heel work in this match, which I feel like almost similar to what they had doing with the Fiend in WWE. That wrestling Malakai is eventually turning Cody Rhodes heel. It's interesting if that's the storyline that they're going with. Brandy's first return back after, you know what I'm saying, having a baby. So I think what it was, 13 months, and she's back. So very happy to see Brandy back. You get Arn Anderson. You get Arn down there with them, and Arn ends up, you know what I'm saying, distracting Cody a little bit. Cody ends up getting Black Mist in the face while the ref's distracted and gets rolled up for Malakai Black for the win. I love the way that Excalibur pronounced what had happened, because he didn't say it was Black Mist. He said it was corruption from within. So I feel like that fits what's going on with Malakai Black's character a lot. After that, you get Darby Allin versus FTR. Now, FTR's original Four Horsemen like theme is amazing to me, right? FTR paid homage to like the NWO with their ring gear. I loved it. I loved it, just like the New Day have been doing. I wonder if they did it on purpose. There's a spot in this that I really liked, is when I think it was Dax hit a chair behind him, and Sting was gonna go for the Stinger Splash, and the fans were screaming, "No, no, like don't do it." This is a really good tag team match that had a lot of hot spots built up, with Sting eventually winning with the Scorpion Deathlock. Nobody gets out of that. And just a really, really good match for Darby Allin, who looked like he was just done by the end of the match. FTR is one of the top tag teams, and I'm really waiting for them to get back into that run. You know what I'm saying, to go for them tag belts again, because they deserve it. I want to see Sting more pushing Darby Allin to the top of the card. Maybe if Sammy Guevara defeats Miro for that TNT title, I love to see that Sammy Guevara, you know, versus, you know, just having them, you know what I'm saying, versus Darby Allin, you know what I'm saying, going after it. After this, we had, to me, which could be up for match of the night, but it's really hard to when you got Kenny Omega and Bryan Danielson going at it. Britt Baker and Ruby Soho. Very, very good match. I was a little bit scared with that top rope air raid that Brent hit on Ruby, because she looked like she hit that surgically repaired shoulder instead of like falling on her back. It was amazing storytelling. It started off a little shaky, but they went into it scene for scene. Ruby's a great wrestler. Brent Baker is top notch when it comes to women's wrestling. They really played on the history that these two had together with Brent. With Britt watching, you know what I'm saying, Ruby Soho wrestle, you know what I'm saying, is one of the things that made her want to wrestle. A lot of them having some of the same trainers and friends and stuff in common with each other. So it was really good to me. But this ended up with the distraction, of course, because, you know, Britt Baker's heel. With Ruby Soho tapping out, you know what I'm saying, to the lockjaw after the curb stop. And Britt Baker is just doing top-notch work as women's champion. So you really have to have the right person to take the belt off her. I honestly don't know who that is, unless the last champion. I cannot remember her name, and I love her. She ends up taking off her. Maybe something where you can have Ruby, you know what I'm saying, come up through the ranks now and actually have to come back and face Britt Baker again to win the title. At first, I was upset about the outcome of this match, but the more and more I think about it, Britt Baker did so well, has been so well as the champion. She's probably been the best person to hold the belt. This is nothing against Sheeta. This is nothing against anybody else who held the belt. It's just something about Britt Baker's star power and how over she is with the crowd that her being champion right now works best for AEW. So I'm curious to see if they end up bolstering the roster a little bit more. I would like to see some women tag champs, or even it's not time for a mid-card belt for them, but whether it's women's tag champs or a trios title for the men, I am looking forward to seeing maybe some titles get introduced to give somebody else, because we got Dark, we got Rampage, you got Dynamite, you got some work you can do. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what happens with that. Brent Breaker's champion. I'm happy about that. And overall, it was a pretty good show, especially for a televised show. It had a pay-per-view feel for a televised show. And man, it's basically going up against Big E winning the title. And right now, the Omega Bryan match feels bigger to me than Big E winning the title, because the way WWE is handling that doesn't just seem too good. You know what I'm saying? It seems like they're reacting rather than creating. So I can't wait till Friday's Rampage, because you got CM Punk wrestling Hobbs. You got some big matches over there. You got you got the big tag match with Archer and Mox and them. It's going to be some good stuff happening over there. And you got the TNT title match against God's favorite champion and the Spanish God, you know what I'm saying, Sammy Guevara, plus the Inner Circle versus those other guys. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I'll be here to review that, because it is kind of like an event, even though it's not a pay-per-view. The Grand Slam thing off the Ash Stadium is kind of like an event. Let me know what you thought about that. Let me know if you like the winners. Let me know how you feel about the matches. Let's get in the comments and talk about this, man. Let's bring wrestling back to Hero Report on a regular basis, so we can talk about this a lot more, because wrestling is living in nerd and geek pop culture, especially with a lot of the anime and the video game themed ring attire that they're wearing. And some of these wrestlers are just pop icons. CM Punk, Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, Big E and the New Day. Like let's get back into this. Let me know what you guys thought about the comments below. I'm gonna let Adam tell you guys how you can get connected with the Patreon, and I'm out of here till Friday, where we can cover night 2 of Grand Slam on Rampage. See you guys later.
If you enjoy our content and want to be a part of helping our channel grow, become a patron supporter. We have affordable tiers to choose from that offer a variety of exclusive and early access content, from audio files for all of our shows for you to enjoy on the road, access to our Discord community, and plenty of reactions, reviews, character breakdowns, and more. Check us out at patreon.com/A+opinions. And as always, remember, like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so anytime we drop a brand new video, you will be notified.